Hello everybody, happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday evening and that means it's time for our weekly live session here in the group. So welcome everybody. I'll give you a few minutes to hopefully have a few of you come on live with me this evening. Although of course if you're watching the replay, bear in mind you can still comment below, ask any questions, and I'll make sure to come back to you as soon as I see your comment. If you don't get a reply, then just tag me and I'll make sure that I'll hop on and see what you've said. So first of all, again, welcome, especially all the new members. Do say hi when you come on and tell me where you are. I like to ask for a bit of a weather update as well. Here in London, it's been beautifully sunny today. I have been stuck indoors for various reasons, but I have enjoyed the view from my window, which is always nice. So as I was saying, welcome to all the new members. I've seen lots of you join recently, which is fantastic news. And of course, welcome back to all of you who've been part of my community for a while. It's really lovely to have you here. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while, so really happy to be on again this evening, although I was here last week, so I don't know. I guess the week has just been a long one. We are doing a really interesting, I hope you agree, content series starting as of now. Really practical over the next few weeks. So excited to be sharing that with you. First of all, just introduce myself to those of you who don't know me so well yet. My name is Anna Lundberg. I'm the founder of One Step Outside. I also host the Reimagining Success podcast, and we have new episodes coming out every Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. There's the One Step Outside blog every Tuesday, so we had that yesterday. And I also have written the book last year, Leaving the Corporate 9 to 5, which is a collection of 50 stories of people who've transitioned out of the corporate 9 to 5 and into setting up their own business, going freelance, changing sector, actually just taking a leap of faith and doing some combination of all those different things. So that's a little bit about who I am. Now, the intent of this group is really to have a place for all of you, for all of us, a like-minded group of people to support each other, to cheer each other on, to share our wins, which are very important, and also our struggles, as we work our way from the corporate 9 to 5 into setting up on our own. Now, we're all at different stages of this, and as you'll see, as you will experience as you move forward, there are different challenges at each stage. I try to address, the different points along the way. So whenever you have something that you think that we're not covering at the moment, just let me know and I'll be happy to share a previous maybe podcast episode or blog post or video, or if I haven't covered it before, then I'd be happy to create another training for you. So always, I think of me being here for you. I'm not just talking to myself. So do let me know, excuse me, if there's ever any topic that you'd like me to cover. So you will have hopefully met Cara Cahill, who is welcoming you into the group. She's posting here every day, sharing what's going on, and you'll be getting to know her much more in the coming weeks and months. So she's part of the One Step Outside team. And again, my name is Anna, and I'm really happy to have you all here. So just to introduce the session, I guess, as I said, this is the weekly live session every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock. UK time, so I know that doesn't work for all of you, but I know lots of you watch the replay, which is great. And we do also, by the way, put this video on YouTube, so hello if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not active on Facebook, you can subscribe on YouTube and you'll be notified every time we put up a new video as well. But obviously the benefit of doing it here in the group is that you can join me live, bring your questions, share your own experiences. The best part of these live sessions is actually when we do the challenges. We've run 3 or 4 of those challenges where we do a 5-day challenge, daily live streams. We've got a big group together, we work through different topics, and the dynamic and the pace is fantastic, and that's really the best way to get everything out of it that you want to, because you'll be working through certain steps, supporting each other, cheering each other on, and sharing your insights. So there'll be more of those to come soon, don't you worry. Now, I hinted in the beginning at the new content series because we were talking a lot about personal branding and content strategy. We've shifted gears a little bit. We talked a few weeks ago about the reality of running your own business and how it's not always as glamorous as it maybe appears on social media and so on. Then we looked at actually last week why it is such a fantastic thing, and of course I'm a little bit biased, but I think a lot of you are too, why running your own business, and by the way, I use business very loosely, so it's being a freelancer. You don't have to associate yourself, strictly speaking, with being an entrepreneur. You could be a solopreneur. You might think of yourself as a small business. And again, there's a range of different labels for what they're worth here in the group. So however you define yourself, running your own thing, being independent, basically, not being part of that corporate 9 to 5 and being an employee. And so I actually believe very strongly that this is the best way to get the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that we're always talking about in your life. And that's also what we're going to be talking about. So how can you make sure that you get that freedom, flexibility, fulfillment? Again, I use those terms quite loosely, and the first point I'm going to tell you in a second is that you need to define what they mean for you. But really what I mean is how you can design, build and run a business so that it really fits with your particular lifestyle, your goals, your definition of success. And that's what's so empowering. By definition, as we said last week, running your own business means that you're the boss, you make all the decisions. Now that's pretty scary. It does take a bit of getting used to after being told what to do your entire life from school, from parents, from your boss at work and so on. If you are freelancing and so on, you will have bosses in a sense working with clients, but it's a very different scenario, and especially when you build your confidence and you're able to say no and set boundaries and so on, you really do have, as you'll discover, the power to define exactly how you want to run your business. So without further ado, tonight we're going to talk a little bit generally about how you can set up your business to make sure you're getting those wonderful things that we've talked about. And then in the next few weeks, the good news hopefully is that we're going to really be delving into the details. So next week we're looking at creating systems. Oh yes, that very sexy topic, looking at processes and tools and all sorts of automation and scheduling and things that can really help you again, and particularly get that freedom and flexibility. Then we're talking about outsourcing. The following week, leveraging your time, maybe scaling from one-on-one work to group work. We're talking about financials. We're talking about what else? We're talking about mindset, avoiding burnout, and then we're shifting a little bit again. So lots of very concrete, practical topics coming up. And as I mentioned last week, very excited to again announce that we will be having guest speakers coming in. So someone will be coming in to talk to you about financials, about outsourcing, about specifically the, what other topics did we have? We said systems. I'm afraid it's just me next week, but after that, basically we'll have lots of new people coming in. So lots more news on that still to come. However, in the meantime, you're stuck with just me this evening, and we are talking, setting the general picture, the context for how to set up your business to give you that freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. And as ever, it will come as no surprise to you if you've been part of my community for a while that my first tip will be define your personal parameters. In other words, define what success looks like for you. Now, I really do mean this in a very practical sense, as well as sort of the big picture, but very logistically concrete. What does a business need to bring you in order for it to work for you? So yes, I talk about freedom, but what kind of freedom? Is it autonomy in your decisions? Is it creative freedom? Financial freedom? And if so, how much money is financial freedom for you? Is it sort of location freedom, location independence? Is it freedom from a certain schedule, freedom from working with the boss and so on? But exactly what does freedom mean to you? Likewise, flexibility. Flexible working sounds great, and you know on the surface, okay, it's flexible, but what kind of flexibility do you need? Do you need to be able to actually be spontaneous every day because you never know what life will throw at you or where your energy is? Do you want to be able to work from home? Do you want to be able to travel internationally? Do you want to be able to not travel at all? Never commute to an office or leave your house if you don't need to? Do you want to be able to work at any time? Do you want to be able to take time off as and when you want to, and so on? So really practical things. And think ideal here, because yes, it may not be possible to shift or to start a business from one day to the next and make it absolutely perfect. But actually, as we move forwards, and hopefully we're all in this for the long term, you will be able to set up the business in a way that delivers on that. So definitely dream big. Think, ideally, I'd love to be able to not set an alarm in the morning and do this, that and the other. And then also some more sort of, not realistic, but more sort of practical short-term things. Like I'd like to be able to pick up my kids from school in the afternoon, or, whatever it might be. So what does flexibility mean as well? What does freedom mean? What's flexibility mean? What are all the practical parameters for you individually? And they may be completely random. They may be totally different to what my parameters are. And that's the beauty of it, because you are designing your business. There's no right answer, and no one can tell you how to do it or what it should look like. So really up to you how you design it. But as ever, you have to know what you want in order then to work out how you're going to get there, if that makes sense. So number one is setting your parameters, really practical, logistical criteria for how you're going to run your business. Now the second one, and this links back into a challenge that we did do a few months ago, which is all around striving for your ikigai. Now your ikigai is a Japanese concept from the Okinawan Islands, beautiful islands in Japan that I haven't been to unfortunately, but I did go to an Okinawan restaurant once and it was delicious. The people there were very happy. And ikigai is the reason for getting out of bed in the morning, the reason for being. And if you've seen it, you may have seen it floating around, and I have a blog post I can link to as well on the internet. It's really 4 circles that are intersecting. So one circle is your skills, so finding work, creating work that you are really good at, that leverages your key skills and strengths. That's number one. The second one is your passions, the work that you love doing, that you really enjoy. So combining your skills and your passions. The third one is your values, your mission, causes you believe in, your beliefs, really making a difference in the world and creating something that the world actually needs. I think a lot of us in the corporate jobs maybe feel that the world doesn't need another bottle of perfume perhaps, or doesn't need another PowerPoint deck or Excel sheet, whatever it might be. So that's a really important piece, the more meaningful purpose side of things. And then because it is a business, because we need to live, we need to survive, also something that can bring you money. So Ikigai sits at the heart of that. It's using the skills and strengths that you have and you want to use, by the way, because we don't necessarily have to use everything. Just because you happen to be good at Excel doesn't mean you have to do that. The passions and interests, the bigger cause, mission, making an impact in the world, and then money. So when you find those four things, that's really when you reach fulfillment, I think, in your business. So number one was setting your personal parameters, your criteria. And number two is more the kind of big picture, the nature of your business, really building it around the skills, the passions and the mission and so on that you believe in. So those are the first two. Now the third one, and this is a big one that we can't really cover this evening, but oh so important, it's something we cover in my various coaching programs, of course, but it's deciding on the right business model. And just to very sort of briefly, I suppose, give some stereotypes, we might think of a freelancer who's still, strictly speaking, very much tied to clients, to perhaps some set rates, to certain hours and so on. And certainly if you're starting off, you're being paid by the hour, that kind of business model means that you're very much tied to clients, you're working on their terms, you're often sort of on that roller coaster of feast and famine, and you're not really getting that freedom and flexibility that you want. Now, there are many freelancers who have fantastic ways of running their businesses, so it's not to say freelancing is wrong, and I do freelancing myself and it's very important, but just to say there are certain aspects of the business model that can be more or less conducive to having that freedom and flexibility that we're talking about. So your business model, you can have a quick Google, there are lots of templates out there, I have my own templates of course, but it's things like, who is your ideal customer? Because if it's a customer who, I don't know, is either very demanding or who doesn't really see the value in your work or is difficult to target or can't afford your services, that's going to make it quite difficult for you to build a sustainable, viable business on that. Think about the products and services you're going to deliver. Again, if you're really just trading your time for money, that's not the most conducive model to having that freedom and flexibility. If you can productize some of your services, as we say, if we can make some of it a bit more passive, no work is ever passive, you always have to create things, but there are some things that are a bit more passive than others. And certainly, for example, in coaching, a group program allows you to work with more people at a lower price for them, but still giving you more money, giving them the same value, but having that 1 hour with 5 people, let's say 10 people, whatever it might be, rather than the 1 hour for one person. It might be that you write and sell a book that then is passively sort of just plodding along there on Amazon. Once you've written 5, 6, 7 books, that's making a pretty nice little monthly income. You might have a self-directed online course or something like that. Also, by the way, in terms of clients, you might work with individual consumers, but you might also choose to have some packages, some services for corporate clients or for organisations who, by definition, can usually pay much more than an individual. So it's considerations like that, really understanding, where are you going to be able to work? Is it a client that has to have you there on site all the time? Can you work virtually? So again, bringing it back to the practical considerations, but thinking of the strategy, which again is a conversation for another time and not something we can cover in a few minutes here, but just want to put that out there. That's incredibly important for you to think about the strategy behind your business. So 2 more really practical things before we wrap up. The fourth strategy or tactic perhaps is to set and stick to your boundaries. Now you have your personal criteria, you have your idea of the type of work you want to do, you have your business model. There's no point in having these things if you just have them lying there on the shelf or sitting in a document, a folder on your computer. You have to actually implement these, you have to actually stick to these boundaries. And by the way, translate them from a very theoretical sort of presentation and lofty goals or vision board or whatever it might be into really practical considerations. So what can you do? If you want to pick up your kids from school at a certain time, block your calendar to make sure you don't have any meetings then. If you want to have your mornings free to go for a run by the ocean, have a lovely breakfast with your partner, whatever it might be, do some yoga, just have a lie-in, then you need to block that time in your calendar. If you want to make sure that your work doesn't seep into your family time or your relax time, then you want to perhaps turn off the notifications on your phone. I've turned off all those pesky little red circles on my phone, apart from WhatsApp, which is my family channel. You can turn off your phone, you can put on Do Not Disturb, you can leave it in the other room, turn off your computer, close the door to your study, whatever it is. But really thinking practically again how you can stick to those boundaries. Translating theoretical concepts into actual calendar pieces. Of course, also telling your clients and telling your family, importantly, what those boundaries are. So, when my door is shut, that means that's my work time, you can't come in, or vice versa, telling your clients or writing a little signature in your emails that, these are the days I work, or I will respond with the next time. I'm more responsive on email than I am on phone, and so on. So you get to make up these rules. And I know it's difficult, especially when you're starting out, to say these things to clients, to say no. But it's important, because otherwise you're building a successful business based on criteria that don't at all fit what you want your life to look like. So you're just creating a rod for your own back. You're probably going to end up working more than you did in your corporate job, and you're not going to enjoy it. So ultimately you'll burn out, or you'll go back to a corporate job, or you just won't particularly enjoy it, which is not what we want to be doing. And again, specifically when it comes to clients, saying no to the wrong clients, and it takes some time to work out who those wrong clients are, but saying no to those clients is going to create space and energy for you to actually be open to new opportunities and to say yes to the right clients. And that's where you'll be enjoying it more, you'll be really using your skills, you'll be working on a cause that you believe in, and ultimately you'll be earning more and the business will be more successful. So happy days all around. So that's setting boundaries and sticking to those boundaries. Very difficult, again, learning to say no and so on, something we need to practice, but something I really want to emphasise because it's really critical in all of this that we're talking about. And then finally, get support. Now, I know that we're all very strong and capable people. We don't need help, thank you very much. We can do it all ourselves. However, there are a number of different sources of support that we need, I think, when we are on the roller coaster that is inevitably a little bit sort of up and down, especially at the beginning when we're starting out a business. And the first is your tribe, your group, a community, whether online or offline. Of course, the good news is you guys are already here in the One Step Outside Facebook group, and that's really what I want this group to be. So cheering you on, supporting you when you're down, empathizing, sharing, what, I've been there too, this is what I did to feel better, and don't worry, I felt like that too, and so on. So having that community of people who understand you, who support you no matter what. It could also be your friends who just give you some downtime, don't even talk about work, they're not entrepreneurs, and it's just nice to have someone who's completely out of it. And it could be people who completely understand what you're working on and support you for that reason. So, it could be different types of communities and friendship groups as well. A second type of support might be some more practical support in terms of immersing yourself in podcasts and books and events and whatever it might be, whether free or, paying some amount to go to a conference or something. But I myself love immersing myself in a new topic. It just makes me think that this is it. It's not a question of if I can do this, it's just how other people are doing it too, and this is what I'm going to work on and feeling inspired and so on. It might be doing an online course or a program or something to fill in those skills gaps, but getting the support. Starting a business is very different to being an employee. Even I, coming from a branding marketing background, found it very different to market myself than marketing, beauty products and so on. And we do have gaps, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. So whether it's that, I haven't done sales before, I really need to speak to a sales expert, or I've never done a webinar before, so I'm going to follow this person who does webinars. Instagram is a bit new to me, so I'm going to do this Instagram course, whatever it might be. Make sure you're getting the sort of teaching support that you need to fill your skills gaps and so on. And then finally, of course, having some kind of a coach or mentor, whether you're, again, like you're doing here, following someone with their Facebook group, their podcast, their emails, and just immersing yourself in all the free content, or as and when you're ready, of course, I'd recommend investing in that coach, again, for either a specific area that you're looking for, perhaps getting your brand off to the right start, or your marketing strategy, your content strategy, whatever it might be, or someone who can really take you by the hand through the whole process, guide you. You're going to save so much time, so much energy, and that I cannot overemphasize how important that is in terms of helping you to stick to your goals, focus on the right priorities, and just get there so much faster, and it's going to be more fun as well. So those are the 5 tips I had for you this evening in terms of how to set up your business so you can get that freedom and flexibility that you want. So remember, start by defining what freedom and flexibility means for you. Think about your ikigai in terms of your skills, your passions, your cause, your mission that you believe in, and also how you're going to monetize this. And that was one of the first things I did sort of 6 years ago when I was leaving my job, was just mapping out all the different things I could do, from writing and translating and, you know, driving an Uber car, whatever it might be. So just think very creatively about how you can actually monetize those skills and draw little arrows and circles and sort of mind map it all together. And then we had deciding on the right business model, a big one. Again, not something you can do just in one little sitting, but certainly something to think about. Who are the clients you're going to work with? What are the products and services? What's the pricing going to be? And so on, to actually meet your financial needs and your goals for the business. Setting and sticking to practical boundaries. And then finally, asking for support. And again, we talked about the friendship, the community, the peers, the sort of concrete course skills support, and then also a coach or mentor who's a few years ahead of you who can really help you to move forwards faster. So that was a bit of a general introduction this evening. Again, if you've been watching the replay, do let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to hop on and share my perspective. And then next week, as I said, much more concrete, double clicking on a few of these points. So we're going to be looking at creating systems next week. The following week, again, it's outsourcing, which I know was a topic that a lot of you are interested in. I did a poll the other week to get your questions. And then we'll actually have a guest already in 2 weeks' time, who's a virtual assistant who will talk all about the kind of things you should be delegating, how to get started, how to work with someone virtually, and so on. So hopefully some really practical, really concrete tips to help you as you set up your business to work for you and your life. So thanks so much for joining. Lovely to be here with you. Remember, tomorrow there's a podcast episode, so you can immerse yourself even more with the topic. And then next week, again, we're looking at creating systems in your business. Very exciting. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon, and happy building your business for your own personal criteria. Thanks so much. Bye.